Now listen to this. There is a voice inside your head that sounds like you, but it isn't you. It's louder when you're criticized. It's defensive when you're challenged. It craves attention when you're ignored. And it panics when you're not in control. That voice is your ego. And if you don't understand it, it will control your entire life. Not in obvious ways, but in subtle, destructive patterns that feel normal. Because the ego doesn't scream, "I'm ruining your life." It whispers, "You deserve better. They should respect you. You can't let that slide." And just like that, you react. You argue, you overthink, you hold on to things that should have been let go. And slowly, your peace disappears. But here's the part nobody tells you. Your ego is not your strength. It's your greatest weakness, disguised as power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And most people never truly live because their ego is always in the way, always protecting an image, always chasing validation, always avoiding anything that might expose them. So instead of growing, they perform. Instead of learning, they defend. Instead of evolving, they stay stuck. Let me ask you something, and don't answer this quickly. How many of your decisions are actually yours? And how many are driven by your ego? Think about that. The need to prove something. The need to look strong. The need to avoid embarrassment. The need to be right. That's ego. And it's running more of your life than you realize. Epictetus said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone.'" Now be honest. Could you respond like that? Or would your ego take over? Would you feel attacked, disrespected, triggered? Because that reaction, that instant emotional surge, that's where your ego lives. And that's where your freedom dies. Because the moment someone else can control your emotions, you're no longer in control of yourself. And Stoicism rejects that completely. It demands something far more difficult: self-mastery. Not control over others. Not control over outcomes. Control over your reactions, your thoughts, your identity. But your ego resists that. Because your ego doesn't want truth. It wants comfort. It wants validation. It wants to feel important, even if it costs you your growth. Seneca said, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." But your mind cannot be unconquerable if your ego is in charge. Because ego makes you fragile. It ties your worth to external things: opinions, status, recognition. And the moment those things are threatened, you collapse. So here's the shift Stoicism forces you to make. Detach your identity from everything external. You are not your reputation. You are not your success. You are not what people think about you. You are what you choose to do, and nothing more. But that's hard to accept, because your ego has spent years building an image, an identity, a version of you that needs to be protected at all costs. And letting that go feels like losing yourself. But here's the truth. You're not losing yourself. You're removing the illusion, and what remains is something far more powerful. Clarity, freedom, control. Because when your ego no longer needs validation, you become unstoppable. Criticism doesn't shake you. Failure doesn't define you. Silence doesn't threaten you. You simply act. You simply improve. You simply move forward. And that level of detachment is rare. So let me challenge you. When was the last time your ego made a decision for you? Maybe you didn't apologize because you wanted to be right. Maybe you didn't try because you were afraid to fail. Maybe you reacted emotionally because you felt disrespected. Be honest. Put it in the comments. Because awareness is the first step to breaking free. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Your ego will fight back. It will justify itself. It will tell you, this is who you are. But that's not true. Your ego is a habit, and habits can be broken, but only if you're willing to see them, catch them, challenge them. So the next time you feel triggered, pause. Don't react immediately. Observe it. Ask yourself, is this me or is this my ego? That single question can save you from countless mistakes because it creates space, and in that space, you regain control. Marcus Aurelius said, "You always own the option of having no opinion." Think about that. You don't have to react. You don't have to defend. You don't have to prove anything. And once you realize that, your ego loses its grip. But here's the deeper truth. Letting go of ego doesn't make you weak. It makes you precise, focused, dangerous in a quiet way. Because now, you're not acting to impress. You're acting with intention. And intention is power. So imagine this. Someone criticizes you. Instead of reacting, you listen, you analyze, you take what's useful, and discard the rest. No emotion, no ego, just growth. That's mastery, and that's what Stoicism is building inside you. Not an image, not a persona, a mind that cannot be manipulated. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, watch your ego. Every reaction, every thought, every impulse to defend, prove, or react. Observe it. Don't suppress it, but don't obey it either. Just watch. Because the more aware you become, the less control it has. And if you're serious about mastering yourself, then this is where it begins. Not with the world, but within. Now, before you leave, I want you to make a decision. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, comment this: I am not my ego. Because that's the first step. Separation, awareness, control. And if you're ready to go deeper, subscribe to Stoic Gateway. Because in the next video, we're going to break down how to completely detach from validation and build a mind that doesn't need approval from anyone. And once you reach that level, nothing will control you again.